My name is Braden. I'm from the University of Cambridge. I guess what we've been talking about today is ideas of apocalypse, and what Ben and I have been talking about today is a bit about post-apocalypse and pre-apocalypse, and also trying to complicate that slightly by arguing that lots of narratives work within the process of apocalypse. So we hear a lot in the media about what life might be like after climate apocalypses, but possibly we should think as well about the process of going through apocalypse, and I would argue that one of the ways that we can have that debate is to bring adaptation back into the climate change debate and introduce adaptation to mitigation, so that if mitigation is trying to prevent apocalypse, then adaptation might be the way to live through the process of coping with apocalypse.
My name is Benjamin Morris, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Cambridge. In order to think about the many possible alternatives that could be there in place of an apocalyptic scenario or a catastrophic scenario. And I find the arts are the best place to do this, that they have a unique ability to offer us a landscape which we can inhabit for a time and assess whether we understand it, recognize it, claim it, acknowledge it, and how we would judge our actions in response to the scenario that we have envisioned. And so in that sense, I think that looking at cultural documents which are produced, thinking about these end times or endist times, really gives us an opportunity to play out those scenarios and at the same time exercise our imaginations, which is as much a muscle as our heart or our legs or so forth.
And I think art is uniquely placed really within, and in an epistemological sense, art is uniquely placed to think about the consequences of things that are unthinkable.
Thinking about our place and our role in an apocalyptic scenario. What choices would we make? How would we live our lives? In relation to others as well.
Bernard Harrison has a line about the role that literature can play is offering the could it not be like this,
right,
rather than the it is like this. The could it not be like this, or the could it not be otherwise. And I think that one of the debates that we had today was the role of the fantastical or fantasy, and whether or not films that veered away from reality towards fantasy and towards the fantastical could still have a role to play in changing conceptions of our attitudes and our responses to climate change. And I think my answer would be not just that they can, but that's almost inevitable that they will go there.
They must.
They must go there. The films and narratives and art will always go away from reality, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have enough bearing on reality that they can change attitudes.
The visions themselves will never stop being produced. The notion of the end is one which defines human cognition, because human cognition must realize that it will be faced with its own end, with its own passing.
You get circular apocalyptic narratives where one apocalypse leads to the regeneration of a different sort of society, so that apocalypse isn't apocalyptic, it's simply change. And one apocalypse can lead to regeneration, and that can suffer another apocalypse. And so the narrative isn't necessarily linear, which apocalyptic narrative is generally seen as linear with a disruption of a catastrophe of some kind, but actually that the narrative shape might be better described as cyclic. Perhaps in all these apocalyptic narratives, the real thing is what change does the apocalypse bring about, and have we learnt anything on the other side? I see the epistemology as being one of resistance and critique, and you can't have that resistance and critique unless you've got independence. And so financial, but particularly intellectual independence for the art world, I think that's got to be the touchstone.
That's a great question. I mean, how long is it going to be before we start reading novels where in the acknowledgements not only are the writers' colonies thanked, the Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown, Yaddo, McDowell, the rest, but graciously underwritten by Shell Oil, ExxonMobil. How long will that be? I mean,
we can only hope that we never see that.